The Three Kings of Forgotten Alley. I watched Marcus shove all 3 doner kebabs into his bag while Pavel and I sat there with empty stomachs. 3 kebabs I'd saved 2 weeks for. 3 kebabs that were supposed to be our dinner, our shared dinner as brothers. "What are you doing?" I managed to get out, my stammer barely there because I was too shocked to feel nervous. Marcus looked at me like I was stupid. Tsk. "I'm the leader, Jonas. Leaders eat first. You 2 should be grateful I even let you sit at my table." Pavel's hands moved fast, signing angry words, but Marcus just laughed. "What's the mute gonna do? Cry in sign language?" That's when I felt it. Not just hunger, not just disappointment, but something cold and final, like a door slamming shut in my chest. My name is Jonas Keller, and this is the story of how my best friend became my worst enemy, and how I made him pay for every single bite. 3 months earlier, we were different people. Or maybe we were always these people, and I was just too blind to see it. We met at the Disability Support Center in Berlin's Kreuzberg district. 3 guys nobody wanted. 3 guys the system had chewed up and spit out. Marcus, with his twisted leg from a childhood accident. Pavel, deaf since birth, dumped by his Romanian family at 16. And me, Jonas, whose stammer made job interviews feel like torture. We found a basement apartment together. Cheap, cold, but ours. We called ourselves the 3 Kings as a joke. Kings of nothing. Kings of a forgotten alley where even rats looked depressed. Marcus appointed himself leader immediately. "Someone has to make decisions," he'd say, waving his hand dismissively. "And let's be honest, you 2 aren't exactly leadership material." I let it slide, because we were brothers. Pavel let it slide because he couldn't argue if he wanted to. But Marcus, he kept taking. Small things at first, my coffee creamer, Pavel's cigarettes, the good spot by the radiator, always with the same excuse. Leaders deserve better. I should have seen it coming. 2 months ago, Pavel got his first paycheck from the warehouse. 200 euros for a week of brutal labor. He was so proud, showing us the bills like they were gold, grinning wide. "Let's celebrate," I said, my stammer almost gone because I was happy. "Split it 3 ways, 50 for each of us and save the rest." Pavel nodded enthusiastically, already signing about pizza and beer. Marcus shook his head. "Tsk, bad idea. Pavel, give me the money. I'll hold it so you don't waste it. You know how you are, no impulse control." Pavel's face fell, but he handed it over. Marcus was the smart one. Marcus knew best. 3 days later, I found new shoes in Marcus's corner. Expensive ones, exactly 200 euros worth. "These? Found them," Marcus said when I asked, not even looking up. "Someone threw them out." They still had the tags on them. Pavel saw them too. His hands moved slowly, asking the question we both knew the answer to. Marcus exploded. "Are you calling me a thief? After everything I do for you? I'm the one who talks to the landlord. I'm the one who handles the bills. Show some goddamn respect." We backed down. We always backed down. But something started growing in me. Something patient and cold. The day with the doner kebabs wasn't random. It was my birthday. 24 years old, and I'd never had a real celebration. I'd saved every cent from collecting bottles and cans, 2 weeks of digging through trash bins, hands freezing, people looking at me like garbage, all for those 3 kebabs. "Happy birthday to us," I'd planned to say, making it about all of us, because that's what brothers do. Instead, Marcus took everything and ate while we watched. Munch, 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 munch. You're too sensitive, Jonas," he said through a mouthful of meat. Chew, chew. This is how the world works. Strong people take, weak people cry about it. Pavel stood up, fists clenched. His breath came hard. Rage building. For a moment, I thought he'd finally do it, finally smash that smug face. But Marcus didn't even flinch. Go ahead, Pavel. Hit me. A cripple. See how fast you end up in prison. Who's going to believe the mute over me? Pavel's hands shook. Urgh! A sound from deep in his throat, the only sound he could make. Then he walked out. Slam! I followed him into the cold Berlin night. My birthday, my empty stomach, my heart emptier. We sat on the steps of a closed Turkish bakery. Pavel looked at me with tears in his eyes, something I'd never seen before. He signed slowly. We are not his brothers. We are his servants. My stammer was gone when I replied, clear as glass, cold as ice.
The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. I went to the library and stayed all day, reading everything I could about German tenant law, disability rights, and social services. Flip, flip, flip. Pages turning, notes scribbling. Pavel met me after his warehouse shift. I'd written everything down for him to read. Marcus thinks he's untouchable, I wrote. He's made mistakes, big ones, and we're going to use every single one. Pavel's eyes widened as he read my notes. Then he smiled. Not a nice smile, a wolf smile. Silent laughter shaking his shoulders. Here's what I'd discovered. Marcus had been lying to us for months. The rent? We each gave him our share. I from bottle collecting, Pavel's from the warehouse. Marcus claimed he paid it to the landlord. But I'd checked with the building manager, Frau Weber. Tisk, tisk, tisk. She said a social services program paid our rent directly. Had been for 6 months. The utilities? Same lie. Covered by the program. Marcus had been pocketing around 400 euros a month. Our money. For half a year. Pfft, unbelievable. But that wasn't even the best part. Marcus had applied for disability benefits in all our names, claiming to be our caregiver. He'd forged our signatures. That's fraud, prison-level fraud. Pavel read everything twice. Then he looked at me with a question in his eyes. When? I smiled, my first real smile in months. Not yet. First, we let him think he's won. Then, we take everything. For 2 weeks, Pavel and I played our roles perfectly. We avoided Marcus, made him feel powerful, let him think we were broken. Meanwhile, I got a job. Horrible job, cleaning toilets at a nightclub, but it paid cash and I didn't have to talk much. Pavel picked up extra shifts. We saved every cent in a new bank account Marcus didn't know about. Clink, 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 coins dropping into our secret fund. I also made friends with Frau Weber, our building manager, brought her coffee, helped her carry groceries. She was lonely, talkative, and she hated Marcus. "Ugh, that boy," she'd say in her thick German accent, waving her hand dismissively. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Always so rude, always demanding. Not like you, Jonas. You're a good boy. I asked her casual questions about the rent, about the social services program, about who signed what documents. She showed me everything. Copies of Marcus's forged signatures, records of payments he'd claimed to make but never did, emails where he'd called Pavel and me mentally incompetent to get higher caregiver benefits. Mein Gott, I whispered when I saw them. Can I take pictures? I asked, my stammer barely there now. Funny how confidence kills a stammer. Of course, Liebling. This Marcus, he is a bad person. You need to protect yourself. Click, click, click. My phone camera capturing every document. Oh, Frau Weber, if only you knew what I was really protecting. Pavel and I met in secret every night, planning in the cold stairwell where Marcus never went because of his leg. Phase 1, I wrote on my phone for Pavel to read. Make him comfortable. Make him greedy. Let him think he's untouchable. Pavel nodded and signed. And phase 2? I wrote slowly, savoring every word. We burn his entire world down. Pavel's silent laughter shook his whole body. Monday morning, Marcus woke up to 3 official-looking letters under our door. Rustle, rustle. I could almost hear him tearing them open from where Pavel and I sat in our new apartment across town. One from the social services office, demanding he come in for an urgent meeting regarding benefit fraud. One from Frau Weber, formally evicting him for misrepresentation and theft of tenant funds. And one from me and Pavel's new lawyer. Yes, we'd saved enough for a lawyer, detailing our lawsuit for stolen wages and fraud. The apartment was empty. Pavel and I had moved out Saturday night while Marcus was at his usual bar, spending Pavel's money. We didn't take much, just our clothes, our documents, and one thing Marcus loved more than anything, his laptop, which had all his passwords saved, all his schemes documented. Every forged signature, every lying email to social services, we had copied everything before we left. Click, 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 every file, every email, every lie. Marcus called me 17 times that day. Ring, ring, ring. I blocked his number. Beep. He found Pavel at the warehouse Tuesday morning, grabbed his shoulder, spun him around. You bastards! You... Crack. Pavel clocked him. One punch. Broke Marcus's nose clean. Marcus went down. Ah, my nose, sob, sob. You broke my nose. The warehouse had cameras. Clear video of Marcus assaulting Pavel first, Pavel defending himself second. The police were very understanding with Pavel. Less understanding with Marcus when they saw his record of fraud. The investigation moved fast. Tist, tist, tist. Turned out Marcus had been scamming the system for years, even before he met us. We weren't his first victims. His court date came 6 weeks later. Pavel and I sat in the back row, watching. Marcus saw us, tried to look defiant, but his hands were shaking. Tap, 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 his fingers drumming nervously on the defendant's table. The judge read out the charges. Benefit fraud, forgery, theft, assault. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue he was disabled himself, that he deserves sympathy. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Katrin, who'd taken our case personally, stood up with our evidence. Shuffle, shuffle, papers organizing, bank records, forged signatures, emails where Marcus called Pavel retarded and me the stuttering idiot. She read those emails aloud, every cruel word. Marcus's face went white. Gulp. These aren't the words of someone who needs help, Katrin said, her voice cutting. Tisk, tisk. These are the words of a predator who targeted vulnerable people because he thought they were too weak to fight back. She turned and looked right at us. He was wrong. The judge sentenced Marcus to 18 months in prison plus 3 years probation plus an order to repay every cent he'd stolen. Slam, the gavel. As they led him away in handcuffs, clink, clink, Marcus looked back at me one last time. Jonas, please, we were brothers. I didn't smile, didn't gloat, just stared back with the same empty look he'd given me the night he stole my birthday dinner. Pavel signed something. I translated quietly. Weak people don't cry about it, Marcus. They get even. The courtroom door closed. Thud. 1 year later, Pavel and I live in a small but clean apartment in Wedding. We split rent fairly, we share food, we're actually brothers now. Sissel, sissel, Pavel cooking breakfast for both of us, something Marcus never did. Pavel got promoted to shift supervisor at the warehouse. Turns out when you stop being angry all the time, people notice your skills. I finished a coding boot camp, online at my own pace, no pressure to speak, got a remote job doing web development.
Tap, 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 my fingers flying across the keyboard without a single stutter. My stammer, still there sometimes, but I've learned it doesn't define me. We heard Marcus got out early for good behavior 3 months ago. Last week I saw him on the U-Bahn, panhandling, asking for change. Please, anything helps, sigh. He didn't see me. I could have walked past, could have ignored him completely. Instead, I stopped, pulled out a €5 note. He looked up, recognized me, and his face went through a dozen emotions. Shame, anger, fear. Gulp. I held out the money. For food, I said. Clear voice, no stummer. Not for you. For the person you could have been if you weren't so busy being a king. He took it with shaking hands. Thank you, sob, sob. I walked away and didn't look back. Sigh. Pavel was waiting at the platform. He signed, "You gave him money?" I shrugged. He's not my enemy anymore. He's just nothing. We rode home in comfortable silence, two kings of a forgotten alley who learned that real power isn't taking from the weak. Ding, the train doors opening at our stop. It's knowing when to walk away from people who tried to make you small. Marcus taught us what brotherhood isn't. We taught ourselves what it is, and that's worth more than all the doner kebabs in Berlin.